So good morning to the Planning Institute of Jamaica's Growth Inducement Program team, and thank you very much for having me this morning. I'm Diane Edwards, President of JAMPRO, and very pleased to be a part of this forum and to share the stage with Mark Tracy of the PSOJ. This morning, I'm going to talk to you about looking at the pre- and post-COVID investment landscape, looking at some investment challenges that we see in the Jamaican environment and the pivot sectors that JAMPRO sees for growth going forward. So looking at the global FDI trends, we see there that really global FDI collapsed in 2020, falling 42% from 1.5 trillion in 2019 to an estimated 859 billion, according to an UNCTAD investment monitor Trends Monitor report published on the 24th of January. Such a low level of FDI was last seen in the 1990s, so we know that we've really fallen off a cliff. UNCTAD says that uncertainty about the COVID-19 pandemic's evolution and the global investment policy environment is going to continue to affect FDI flows in 2021, and it's a major concern for developing countries in particular. So looking at FDI flows by region, we can see that Latin America and the Caribbean was one of the worst affected, minus 37% over the last year. For developing countries, really, there was some resilience in 2020 for developing countries as a whole, but greenfield announcements fell by 46%, and international project finance, which is usually directed at infrastructure, fell by 7% according to the report. And these are crucial investments for productive capacity and infrastructure development, because that's what will underpin the recovery. UNCTAD expects that any increases in global FDI flows in 2021 will come not from new investment in productive assets, but from cross-border mergers and acquisitions, especially in technology and healthcare. So those are two of the critical industries that we see as underpinning the growth. If we look at FDI trends into Jamaica, we see from the red line there that the strongest FDI performance have been mining and tourism, and in the divestment line, PPPs. Divestment was particularly strong in 2016, which was the year of the Port of Kingston divestment. Then if you look at the trends of investments facilitated by JAMPRO, we can see that the logistics sector, which is of course dictated by the Kingston Freeport Terminal divestment to CMA CGM, that was the big player over the past 3 years, in 2017-18 in particular, and the West Indies Petroleum Project was also a big contributor in that year. The logistics sector, with work upgrades undertaken at the airports, particularly Sangsters in 2018-19, also built up that logistics and infrastructure section. Tourism has been an important player. We've seen new construction in 2017-18 at sites like the Group of Excellence, the Royalton, Grand Leader, and the Half Moon. We've also seen strong performance in the energy sector through New Fortress Energy, the 8 Rivers Energy Solar Project, JPS's Old Harbor LNG plant, and some other infrastructure work. Now, everything was dwarfed by the Mining and Energy GISCO project in 2019-2020, which you can see there from the orange line. That really boosted the result in that year. But now if we look at LDI, local direct investment, we actually don't have a proper measure of local direct investment. So JAMPRO uses a proxy of commercial lending. So we look at commercial and AFI lending to the private sector. We take out personal loans and loans to overseas people. And this is pretty much the picture that we are left with. So one of the challenges that we face is, of course, the lack of data. But if you look at that slide, you actually see that total private sector commercial lending for 2017-18 was $250 million US in that year, and in 2018-19 grew to 331 million. So there was growth in that area. However, if you look at the sectors that are strong, you see distribution as the strongest sector. You see construction and land development and tourism as the second strongest sector. You see very little investment in what we call the productive sectors of food and beverage, services, and mining, manufacturing, agriculture. They're actually pretty small. And this is actually borne out by the investment intentions of the JCC Business Confidence Survey, which was actually released on the 21st of April. If you look at the Business Confidence Survey and the investment intentions for the year, you see that the biggest intention is really in the finance, insurance, real estate area. And then you see also that transport, storage, and communications is another big area of investment intention. So once again, the worrying trend that we see is that most of the investment plans are really not in the manufacturing, agriculture area, or even mining, where we see productive enterprise that will add value to the Jamaican economy. So let's look at some of the challenges. Why is it that we're not seeing investment in the areas that JAMPRO is promoting? The challenge on the FDI front is that Jamaica still has a low business profile. Many of the sectors that we are targeting just don't recognize Jamaica as being on their radar. And that is partly because of our size, but partly because we have few bankable and sizable investment projects to attract the big players. If you look at the LDI side, we have very few large enough companies to generate impactful investment. We have low R&D in investment in technology. We are low in the productive sectors, as I just said, low understanding of global markets and bureaucracy. So these are some of the real areas that are impediments to LDI. But if you look at the solution side, there are a number of solutions underway, so it's not all doom and gloom. We're seeing a lot of companies funding through the 3 stock exchanges, the Jamaica Stock Exchange, 3 different windows. We're seeing new SME funds come into the market, such as Actus, which was just announced by the DBJ last week. NCB Capital Markets has new funds coming in, such as the Infrastructure Fund. We are implementing at JAMPRO National Business Portal, which is going to take a lot of private sector interaction with government online. And there will be 8 business processes that next year will be totally online. And this will really improve the business environment, which is a huge program that JAMPRO is implementing with sister agencies, which is really going to impact the investment climate. And then, of course, the question of trading across borders is an important one. And I just wanted to also emphasize that CAIPA, which is the Caribbean Association of Investment Promotion Agencies, is also developing an investment preparation facility to help private sector projects to develop and package their projects and take them to market. I think this is a real opportunity for our local business sector. So if we look at some of the growth sectors that JAMPRO has identified, obviously the pivot to digital is the biggest change that COVID has taught us. So even before that, we had developed our digital global services strategy, focusing on attracting higher value applications in the outsourcing business to Jamaica, in the information technology outsourcing and knowledge process outsourcing area. We're not seeing enough local companies get involved in this space. We have some local tech companies which have been able to develop their own products and services and export them, but we're not seeing enough take-up. Because if there's one critical aspect that is going to help this country going forward, it is digital. So I would encourage everyone listening to this program to really look at where the digital opportunities lie, because the digital economy is going to be big, and I'll come back to this in a minute. Agribusiness, we see high tech making the agribusiness sector into a business and leveraging technology in agribusiness. So climate smart technology, involving small farmers in mother-farm relationships and building the export base in agriculture, real opportunities there. In manufacturing, we can look at the whole question of agro-processing and import substitution, which are pretty clear. The whole question of healthcare is going to mushroom post-COVID. Everyone is concerned with their health, and so healthcare products are going to be top of mind, as are recycling opportunities. And we think that recycling is a real opportunity which we are not taking advantage of in Jamaica at all. Recycling of plastics, recycling of glass, recycling of tires, we are doing some of that, but there's a whole lot of recycling which offers opportunities in the manufacturing field. Now, this slide, I think, is really important. Microsoft actually did a study by a company called Frontier View on the roadmap to Caribbean recovery. And if you look at this slide, it really looks at, on the x-axis, the time that certain sectors will take to recover. And on the y-axis, what is the investment capacity of these sectors? Now, from our point of view, if you look at the top left quadrant, the transformative investments, you see IT and telecom at the top of that. And I can't stress enough that this is where the real new opportunities are going to lie for investment. That's where we really need to be putting our money. Also, if you look at healthcare, as I said, healthcare is going to be big. So that's pharma and medtech, financial services and fintech, utilities, agriculture. These are going to be some of the biggest areas of opportunity. Sadly for us, tourism is in the category that they feel will only recover within a 4-year period. So the whole question of tourism and tourism opportunities is going to take a longer time to mature. And I think that it's really important that we take note of that in planning. Digital transformation. As I said, can't stress this enough. If you look at the left-hand side of this chart, some of the digital economy opportunities, all the SMEs now want to go digital and have realized that digital is a critical competitive factor. So the whole question of e-commerce, online payment systems, and the Go Digital program, which DBJ, JAMPRO, and JMEA and Jamaica Computer Society have developed, this is a real opportunity for us to leverage our SME population. Cybersecurity has become more and more important in the whole landscape. You will all have seen the issues with the JamCovid website and the JamCovid app. So digital transformation generally and these subsectors are real areas of opportunity. And what JAMPRO is doing as part of the answer is to upskill our local people in terms of their digital skills. So we have a digital skills curriculum under the Global Services Sector project, which we have developed. We have apprenticeship programs and competitive fund where we can help companies to upskill their workforce. And that will be a critical factor going forward. If we look at agribusiness, healthy eating is a new trend. Well, not so new, but a strengthening trend, let's say. So the whole question of going vegan and finding alternatives to meat and plant-based proteins, functional foods, superfoods. Who knows that breadfruit and avocado are superfoods? These are the kinds of things that we need to look at. Gluten-free flour. These are the opportunity areas that we need to get into. And looking at new approaches, as I said, agri-tech and the whole technology approach to agriculture is a real opportunity. One of the things that we looked at in JAMPRO are where are the opportunities for current products that we export now. Roots and tubers is a real opportunity, and we are leaving money on the table because sweet potato has gone from a marginal product, which was exotic, to a mainstream product where everyone now understands in the developed world that sweet potato is better for you than Irish potato, more fiber. So real opportunities to expand sweet potatoes, yam, cassava, tapping into that gluten-free trend I was speaking about, real opportunities there. Crustaceans and seafood. The world is becoming much more focused and aware of sustainability of our seafood, but the demand for seafood is growing on a 4% basis annually. So that is a real opportunity. And of course, the whole question of fresh fruit. Everyone wants to eat more fresh fruit. So we need to tap into this trend and expand our production and expand our markets. I spoke about manufacturing. Local raw materials are available. We're just not taking advantage of the value-added opportunities. Bamboo will soon be a huge product in Jamaica if the bamboo project that we're working on comes to fruition. Castor products, JAMPRO has done a lot of work on castor products and cosmetics because Jamaican black castor oil is prized in the international market. Cannabis and hemp products we have heard a lot about, but we're not really being creative in developing downstream products of cannabis and hemp. Cultured marble, limestone abounds in Jamaica, and cultured marble bathroom fixtures are a huge opportunity given the rebound in construction. Medicinal plants and health products, all these sectors require some level of R&D, but they are growing sectors. And if you want to be in a growing sector, that's where you really should be spending your energies. And of course, emerging sectors like the blue economy. Who thought that the humble Irish moss was going to become a sought after health food product in the international market? But the whole question of edible seaweeds is huge. Sargassum, there are products that can be made from sargassum, particularly plant animal feed. Mariculture for sea urchins and sea cucumbers, things that we do not eat, but that are in big demand in Asia in particular. And then how is this going to affect tourism? We can't not talk about tourism. There are new opportunities in tourism, in health and wellness, in retirement, because the whole question of caring for the aged and elderly will become increasingly topical as most of the developed country ages. Community tourism and experiential and educational tourism, huge opportunities. And the last sector that I really want to talk about is PPPs and divestment. Because if we want impactful investment, large-scale investment in Jamaica, we're going to have to go into more PPPs. And you see on the left there, I've listed some of the critical PPPs that will really come to market in the next year. And if companies are large enough to take advantage, can really change the picture. And then divestments, there are a number of divestments that again will have an impact if we put these productive assets on the market. And then there are some large private sector projects which should start in the next year. And this will really change the picture in Jamaica. So we are in a pretty good place. We just need to become more creative with the materials, raw materials that we have, and really take advantage of some of these new emerging situations and opportunities. So what is JAMPRO doing about it? We are actually talking to a number of private equity companies to get projects which we can take to market, because that's what really will change the investment picture when we have our own projects which we can market. When people say, what can I invest in Jamaica in? We can show them a portfolio of projects. And that means strengthening our private sector partnership locally, and that is exactly what we're doing. The business environment, I talked about the business environment reform agenda, and that is critical to making the whole question of doing business in Jamaica easier. Starting a business, we're already number 6 in the world, but we need to expand the opportunities and the ease of actually starting and operating a business. And we will have later on this year a virtual investment conference, because we're using all the virtual methods that we can to reach out to new businesses, to attract more businesses, and to build our global awareness of Jamaica and its opportunities. We think we're in a good place. We think that investment opportunities emerging from COVID are strong. And we think that we can, by working together and developing our creativity and our originality that we know we are famous for, really build a new digitally enabled Jamaican economy. So these are the remarks I wanted to make this morning, and I hope that what I've said is food for thought and will engender some new entrepreneurship coming out of the audience. So thank you very much for listening, and look forward to the discussion forum.